Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. I have an announcement to make. Chrissy Smith has been a victim of family court and an advocate for family court reform, and she finds it very important that her hearing and case be transparent and available to other victims. She has also been on Slam the Gavel podcast, and she has attached the podcast and written the transcript. I've agreed to use the platform as a call to action to assist Chrissy in her case. She will ask at the beginning of her podcast for attorneys, journalists, ADA advocates, and court watchers for her hearing. Now, the hearing has not been announced. There's no date yet, but this is in regards to hearing for her personal Pennsylvania taxes. And she's going to try her best to prove the family court is racketeering and at this hearing, and she does need help. She's looking for journalists, as I said, attorneys, ADA advocates, and court watchers. And you can contact Christine at Christine with a K, 16smith@gmail.com. That's KRISTINE 16smith@gmail.com. You can also find her on Facebook or through me. I've got two brand new guests on. I have Jerry and Jeeter Anderson. They're here to discuss how DSS in Concord, North Carolina has illegally been taking children. And we're going to talk about the results of that. Now, at a hearing, Mr. Anderson was court watching. He spoke out at recess, and the judge, believe it or not, put him in jail for contempt for 4 days. And we're going to talk about that and other things. I welcome you, Mr. Jerry and Jeeter Anderson. Welcome to Slam the Gavel.
Thank you,
Thank
Marianne.
you. Great to be here.
I'm glad to have you on to speak out. We need others speaking out, and I'm so glad you are. So tell me what happened that day.
I went to DSS for resources for my mental daughter.
Mhm.
I'm proactive. I was in the military, and I got a record that is great. You know, I never been in jail, and till that time, I got thrown in jail here. But I went for resources, and I'm poor family.
Right,
So we all know about DSS to stay away from it with the children and everything.
right.
But I'd been everywhere to get help for my daughter. She'd been in all kind of treatment centers. And so when I moved here 15 years ago, I made this my home. And my mental daughter was,
Mhm,
my wife kept her sometimes, and then I would keep her sometimes.
mhm,
And she was due to be for me to keep her.
uh-huh,
And she had a daughter. And they come to my house, and when they come to my house this time 8 years ago, 9 years ago, she had that extra condition that she was a schizophrenic. And I had no dealings with schizophrenics or whatever. And she was coming to my house, and I wanted to keep my house safe and my daughter safe and us safe. And I wanted to know all about it. I wanted people involved
mhm.
because I didn't want nothing to happen in our life, you know. So I
Oh,
went to the resource center, and I specifically told them I'm coming here for my federal helpless daughter. She is federally helpless, and this is the evidence right here they hid. And
can you bring it closer? He's showing us a document. It's kind of hard to see. Oh, there's a okay, that's perfect. It's an amicus. Is that what that is? My eyes have gotten really bad from the American Legion. Could you read?
it's a federal form from the VA.
Gotcha.
They
Okay.
keep this locked up,
Uh-huh.
and the only person can get it is me. And they didn't think I could get this. They were to have this case here. I had to show evidence, and they didn't think I could get it from the doctor since my daughter was dead. But anyway, I got it, So anyway, I went to DSS and I told him, I said, I'm not here for the child. I'm here for my daughter, who's a federally helpless child. I'm trying to find some resources for her. And I'm afraid that she might be exploited out here.
Right.
And she just needs some help. Can you do that? I
Mm.
was talking to Jessica Bridges, who was a uh, supervisor. I never seen nothing else on her shirt. Supervisor, and she said she could help me. And I said, this is not about my granddaughter. I said, she's fine. We take care of her.
Hmm.
She's 7 years old. She's going to school, and we're sending her to school. And so this is in early September when they went back to school, and me asking for help. And she said she could help us. And so uh, after that, she started coming to our house, and oh, she got Erica a schizophrenia shot. She did help her get that. I said, could you help her get her shots? And she said, yes. And the first thing she does was make her appointment with a doctor to get her schizophrenic shot. And I said, well, she's going to help her, you know.
Hmm.
And the next thing I know, she's coming to the house and she's only talking to me. She's not talking to my daughter. She's talking to me about things. And over a period of 5 months, I didn't know I was being investigated. Nobody told me I was under investigation. I thought I was getting help, you know, resources. 5 months later, I found out I had been under investigation. And at the end of 5 months, she tells me everything's fine. She gave me a legal paper. She said, I'm giving you this. And she pulled it out deep from her folder.
What's that paper called?
What
It's a temporary custody order.
She gave me a temporary custody order for my granddaughter. And she said, I don't usually give these, but I'm going to give you this time. And she made me sign it. And then she said, your granddaughter's good if she stays at your house. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, how about my daughter? Is this all it is to it? So
Hmm.
the lady left, and my daughter was still having problems. 2 months later, everything was fine. The whole investigation, they looked through us and investigated us. Everything's fine. Daughter's left at my house. 2 months later, I say, I need to see if they're going to help my Erica anymore. I need to see if they're going to help Erica anymore. So I called the supervisor. She's not there.
Hmm.
And I'm given to two ladies, DSS workers that came to our house at the end of this investigation with Jessica Bridges. Two came. One was a trainee, and
Uh,
the other was a supervisor herself, I guess. And at the end of the investigation, they come to our house, so they knew our situation. So when I called over to see Jessica Bridges, they said she's gone. No, they didn't say she was gone. They said she's not here at the time. Come on over. So I come on over to the DSS to talk to them more about Erica. And they inform me when I get over there, Jessica Bridges is no longer there. They tricked me kind of, because
mhm.
I never would have talked to these other two DSS workers because I already saw them involved with Erica, and I didn't like how they interacted with my mental daughter.
Mhm.
They would put words up, what
Trigger word.
trigger words up, and make my daughter angry. And they just didn't have no experience with no mental person like her. And
Hurtful.
I would never talk to these people, but they met me over there. So I told them what I was over there for. I said, I got this custody paper that's temporary. I said, I'd like to make it permanent, you know, if there's such a thing, because I already thought I had custody over my daughter and my granddaughter.
Uh-huh.
But since they had given me that, I said, I need to make it permanent. And I said, I'm here because my daughter's still having trouble. She was supposed to be at the bus to pick her child up and she wasn't there. But as you see, her child's here, right here. We take care of it. The child was never, in danger or nothing because we always take care of everything. But I would like my daughter to get some more, resources and help her more. And they took it as my daughter being neglectful or something and started a case right then and there. And that's not what I went there for. But
So
and
they
they never
twisted it.
sent me a paper saying, from the DSS telling me anything. I had to get that later on. It was hard to get what they said. But they said I reported my daughter. Never would I report my mental daughter. I would ask for resources and help.
What year was this?
This was 2016.
Okay. What evolved from that?
Well, they girls took that case and run with it. Wouldn't talk to me. Well, they did talk to me, and when they talked to me, they was talking to Erica, and they just beat her down. They told her she was gonna have to do this. She's gonna have to get a car and drive. She was gonna have to do all kind of things. And my daughter just got beat up and she abused, and she had to go back to the hospitals.
I go to the hospital.
She asked us, and we said, "You need to go back to the hospital." So we took her back to the hospital, and these girls at the DSS start calling me, and it says, "Where's Erica?" I said, "She's at the hospital." Well, evidently I believe that they thought Erica was going to take Jada back to South Carolina and leave this, but she wasn't. She was in the hospital getting help, and I told them that. And they called me 2 times that week before they come and got my granddaughter. "Where's Erica?" I said, "She's at the hospital." I said, "She's getting treatment. She got abused and she's getting treatment." And Jada was in school the whole time. She went to school the whole time. She was doing good in school. She went to Jackson Park and
Never missed a day.
never missed a day, was very smart. And so Saturday, I said, "We're going to take Jada out. We're going to show her a good time because her mama's in the hospital. Let's have a good time with her." So we went off Saturday, went out of town, went to the little zoo they had in Greensboro, North Carolina, out of, just a little bit out, about 50 miles from my house. And we had a good time and got home about 7 o'clock that Saturday night. And we come into the house. I went and used the bathroom. That's what you do from a trip.
Right.
And she went and got a little blanket and was laying on the couch and turned Disney on. And we were sitting there and the knock on the door. My son went to the door and police lights outside and then 2 social workers. And we got the tape and they come to get Jada.
Oh,
And I'm saying, why, you didn't get a phone call? I said, "No, I didn't get no phone call." "You didn't get a phone call?" "I didn't get a phone call." And I said, "You taking my daughter?" They said, "Yeah, we're taking your daughter." And they come in like they were moving her, like they were her good parents, from the government. Come in like they were moving her like good aunts. "Can we get her clothes?" And I, I didn't give her clothes at that day because I didn't think she should be taken, and
right.
I was keeping her clothes. I was getting her back.
Right.
And she said, "You gonna let her go like this in shorts?" And in the film, it shows my daughter's got long pants on and a little coat on and, a little sweater coat. And it's April. And she was fine, she was up under the covers, but she was good. The lady smelled like she had a little gin waiting on us to get home, It was late, about 7 o'clock. I could smell a little gin on her breath. She didn't know what she was talking about. But they took my my granddaughter on a Saturday night.
Oh.
I felt like I was in a communist country
Uh-huh.
somewhere, you know. The sheriffs didn't come with them. The police came with them. Nobody gave me no paper. The social worker was trying to give me some copy of something,
No,
but
she was trying to give me.
trying to give him, and he didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't take that paper because we didn't know who it was to. Nobody served us the paper.
She set it down.
She set it down. And they took her. So my son says to me, Dad, what we're gonna do? I said, we'll get her back Monday. I says, because we hadn't done nothing, you know. Come Monday, I call up DSS first thing, and they throw up a fence. They would not talk to me. So from there, we just start frantically calling the police, asking them why they come illegally. And we try to find answers, and nobody would talk to us. And it was the craziest thing I ever seen.
Mhm.
They was talking to me that whole week, asking me where Erica was and asking me questions. And then after they took Jada, and my daughter was still in the hospital, they took her from my house, took her from us. They wouldn't talk to me no more. Never would they talk to me again.
Ah.
And the first investigation, Jessica Bridges, I was all she talked to. She didn't even really talk to my daughter. She treated my daughter like a helpless child that she was, mental.
And what all happened when your daughter found out that her child was gone?
She left the hospital. She got out of the hospital and left it.
And she was being treated.
She was mad at me.
Oh.
She thought I was the fault. It hurt. It hurt me because, you know, proactive, trying to get my daughter help, and they turned it all against me.
Oh.
You know, all they could have done was help me, like
And
I asked them.
they could have done the right thing, which
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
never going to do.
And now I find like this was done intentionally. Seems like.
And
She was the fastest adopted child out of Cabarrus. It was no time she was gone. They run my daughter through the court proceedings. I went to the first one because I had to find out when it was because my daughter wasn't talking. And I found out, and I was there, and my daughter was there. And I talked to my daughter, and she was okay with me being at the court. And she had an attorney named Belo that the state gave her,
right,
the county gave her. And this guy named Belo, he come up there on this morning, wrinkled clothes. He looked like he'd been sleeping in a drawer somewhere,
oh,
like he got off a big one.
huh,
And my daughter was smart. She was mental, but she was smart. And she said, Dad, look over there at Jay White, who was the prosecutor. She said, his clothes are just perfect. And she said, look at Belo. She said, I can't have that. So she went over there and fired him.
good for
And
her.
I said, Erica, you can't fire him. We need him. And she said, no, Dad, we don't need that. I'm firing him. Belo didn't say anything. This was a helpless child. He didn't say nothing. He just said, okay,
Left.
and left out.
Oh,
So Erica was there, and I kind of got by her side and never did this before. I did get up there to testify, but the judge was Christy Wilhelm and Jay White, and I see now a lot of collusion with him because he groomed her all her life. She was his babysitter.
yes, yes.
And then she worked in his law office. And then he got her into the judge. And then the last election, she wasn't even, nobody run against her. That's how good they got it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got up to testify and to tell them that she was a helpless child and stuff, I was overridden every time. I couldn't get nothing out of my mouth. And Jay White would say something, Christy would say, you know, shut me down, wouldn't let me talk, and acted like she was about to throw me out because I was trying to say something for my daughter.
Mm.
And I was upset. I said, man, this is a fixed trial, you know. And I was going to go to the second and third, but I didn't get to go because I didn't know when they were. My son was at the second, and Erica had a judge. I mean, had a lawyer that was supposed to be there.
Her name was Cynthia Everson.
Cynthia Everson. You probably heard that name before.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't show up.
No show Cynthia Everson.
No show Cynthia. So my daughter got eat up again.
Oh,
And
so that's another public defender that blew it.
yes,
Yeah.
that's just from this stable of Cabarrus
I
County.
think she's the author.
And it's funny, the stable's right beside. Jay White had a big office in behind the government building. And then all of a sudden, Jay White's got another office. There's a second office he just opened up. And it's right there amongst the stable of attorneys that defend people, the county. So he's right amongst them. And so anyway, they had a third trial. Evidently, that's where they took Jada from Erica. And it hurt my daughter so bad. I had to go get her a couple times. I found her in a parking lot,
Oh,
disheveled, and I went to South Carolina and got her and tried to help her. But she was just so devastated. She gave one of her dying declarations on Facebook, says, "I can't live without my child," DSS to it.
oh.
And she didn't know why. She didn't understand why. And
Well, do you know why?
I still don't know why to this day. We've asked that question. They did it. When I went to Mike Downs, the county manager, this guy was sincere. He was real sincere. But now I know the only reason he was sincere was to try to hide this. He says, we'll run an investigation. I'll get an investigation started. He hired an attorney, David Goldberg, that just was new here, new to our county. Out of Texas, never done an investigation before. He told us, he said he's never done one before. And he got Mr. Cook, the Cabarrus County attorney, to do the investigation with him. And this guy is old. He looks like he's on hospice. He's got a nurse with him at all times. And he just had a stroke when he did this investigation. And when we asked him about the investigation, he was rude and he was arrogant. He said, I just got out of the hospital, you know, I just had a stroke. So he didn't.
Oh,
So
it's
this
time to retire.
Right. He's still up at the board right now.
Oh,
8
geez.
years later with his nurse.
At taxpayer dollars. I bet the taxpayers are paying for the nurse as well.
Oh, got to be, because she helps him up there and sit down and everything.
Oh my God.
But he's still there. But David Goldberg, when he started the investigation, he went to vacation.
He went to the beach.
He went to the beach. And the investigation, nobody asked me nothing. It was concluded real fast and stated nothing was wrong, nothing happened, that they did it right.
And still unanswered questions.
Still unanswered questions. Why did they treat Erica, give her a shot, and act like they was going to treat her and do my request, and then change off and chase my granddaughter?
Do you know what that shot was?
Yes.
It was a Haldol?
No, it was in Vega.
In Vega for schizophrenia.
Okay.
And she arranged that shot, and she arranged my daughter to get that shot every month. My daughter couldn't take medicine, daily or anything.
Right.
She didn't have the capacity, so she got stuff done monthly, shots given to her where.
Right. So you don't know where your granddaughter is at all.
When they took her out of my house, I've never seen her again. I took her clothes when I seen that she wasn't coming back. That they took her on a Saturday. Monday, I took her clothes over there and thought I might see her, but they wouldn't let me see her. But I left her clothes and everything because I loved that little girl. I wanted her to have her stuff while she was away. And I never seen her again.
Now, when your
I
daughter,
raised that kid 7 years. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
no, go
raised her
ahead.
7 years. I fed her the bottles, me and my son, my family raised that little girl.
All right.
and she would have been in better care with you.
Oh, that little girl loved me to death, and I loved her to death. She was special to me because her mother was mental.
We still love her.
And she was a mixed child,
Uh-huh.
and she was the most beautiful. She had modeling people come up to me and want her when she got older.
Mm-hmm.
She was intelligent. She was done great in school. She didn't have no trouble. She never been neglected. I've never neglected no one. I have dogs. I was in the service. I was a squad leader. I don't
Mm-hmm.
neglect people. I take care of them. I'm
Right.
proactive. And my mental daughter, as much care as I got her and put into taking care of her and loving her, for her to go here to get resources and get her abused and neglected where she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
And all that I did, it just, yeah, I'm angry. I'm angry, but I hold it inside. Try to be.
Can I
Yeah.
ask, when did she commit suicide?
July 18th.
We're not sure what it is, suicide or what. She just she took something. She
Okay.
took fentanyl. Somebody gave her. Now, here's the weird part about it, Marianne.
Uh-huh.
One of her things that she was being exploited that I went to DSS on, it happened a little later. I found out about it, but when I went to DSS, she was being exploited by people. And I wanted her to have resources and,
She was vulnerable.
she was vulnerable.
Right.
And about 2 weeks later, after she moved down here with me and from South Carolina with her mother to stay with me, I found out she was being exploited on Backpage, magazine that traffics sex, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a picture of her on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it up there to Jessica Bridges, told her, I found this picture and I was afraid somebody was exploiting her on this. And I was telling the official, so we could find out. Never found out nothing. I think she used that against my daughter. Somewhere along the line, they used that she was on Backpage, was a whore or something. I don't know. And actually, all she was a vulnerable mental child, a helpless child. They say that she never was going to get better, and I had to take care of her.
Yeah.
The VA paid me money, extra money, for her condition and everything.
Mm-hmm. And what year did she pass? Was that in 2017?
No, I think it was 2018.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. So
Yeah, she lasted a while. I find her disheveled when I find her, but she didn't have nothing else. You know, she didn't want to come to my house no more. This stuff happened at my house, and it hurt our relationship. And the reason I don't have the DSS custody thing they gave me, the illegal paper, is my daughter Erica got mad and found it and ripped it. And I guess now DSS can say they never gave me that paper.
So they completely violated yours and your daughter's civil rights and your granddaughter's civil rights.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
And you know, it's a simple case. It's simple. I went up there. I got the thing. I went up there for my daughter, not my granddaughter. My granddaughter was fine. She was doing great, you know, no problems. And my daughter was a good mother. I just, you know, couldn't let her be the sole, you know.
She needed her medicine.
She needed her medicine. She
Right.
needed help with her.
Right.
She couldn't even have a home. She lived with us.
Right. She
And
had
she
a
lived
lot of
with her mother.
support from you. You know,
Right.
that you all could have functioned just fine.
Exactly.
All living together. She had a lot of emotional and physical support, and they totally interfered and destroyed everything. And your daughter and you don't even know where your grandchild is.
Right. To this day. And you know, when I went through COVID, I don't know if she's dead or alive. You know, it seems just like I'm a citizen here. I bought a house 15 years ago, live in the same place. I'm a former veteran, you know, I'm a Vietnam era vet, merchant Marines. I was top secret in the Army. I mean, the Air Force. And I'm a pretty smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen like a communist country come and get a child out of a house that didn't deserve it. It really hurt me to my stomach, made me sick that my country, a little small town in the United States of America, they would come and take a child that was sleeping, well, not sleeping, but watching TV on her couch, happy, no
Oh,
problems, take her out of our house, never to see us again.
What was an emergency?
And yeah, it's supposed to be an emergency taken. What was the emergency?
It was an emergency.
And we never been told this.
She had to be taken right then, April 9th, 2016. And she had to be taken that moment, never to be seen again by her mom, her family. And nobody went to jail. Nobody answered for that.
Nobody.
Everybody was competent adults, they said.
And I want the DSS workers to be held for their lies, for their wrong information, because it cost us what we ain't never recovered. We've never recovered. I had to bury my daughter. To bury my daughter, the same daughter that I had in all these hospitals. And she was so wonderful, Marianne. My daughter was so wonderful. She always never refused help because she wanted to be a better mother for that person, for a better person for her daughter. She loved her daughter that much. And we were good when she come to my house. She just had that schizophrenia and it worried me a little bit. But our house was fine. And I did. I was proactive. I said, I'm gonna go see if I can get any resources. And this lady was Jessica Bridges was nice, shook her head, smiled, and she neglected my daughter. My daughter was abused from that time that she neglected her all through
till she died.
Then 5 months of investigation, she wasn't being helped, so she was being neglected the whole 5 months. And I told my son, I said, they look more like they're more interested in my granddaughter than my daughter. And I couldn't understand it. And Jeter said, yes, Dad. And I said, maybe helping my granddaughter is helping my daughter because that's her child, you know. And I said, maybe that's how they do it. I don't know how they do it, you know. I don't work there.
Right,
But
right.
when they abruptly stopped in 5 months and said everything's good if Jada stays at your house, and I'm thinking about what about my daughter? Y'all have not done much for her. And I let that sink in, and you know, I just seen that my daughter wasn't better. She was still having problems.
Hmm.
And I just went back to ask some questions, and they started another case. These two that Johnny come lately to my house that didn't like my daughter because my daughter would fuss with him because they'd say trigger words.
Uh-huh.
And you know, my grandchild was mixed. Jessica Bridges was white. She left her at our house. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. I'm just saying for a fact. And these other two social workers were black. And we live in a black community.
Hmm.
I'm poor.
Hmm.
And they didn't like where we lived, these two black social workers, and they would say they didn't like where we live, but this is my home. We love it. We lived here. We love all the people here,
Hmm.
and we get along good with
They
them.
would make all kinds of comments.
They would make all kind of comments, and I seen they be fussing at my daughter on the side, and Jessica Bridges never did fuss with my daughter. But these two social workers that come at the end of the 5 month investigation, they were all over. I could tell that they had no. Well, one was young, and she. I got a Christian background, and one of them was had a different lifestyle, and she didn't like the lifestyle. My granddaughter was. My granddaughter liked to wear nice clothes, dresses and things, and dress up. And this girl wore jogging pants, and she didn't like our Christian home, I don't think.
Hmm.
Anyway, they took her.
Well, and they also took her because there was probably a bonus they were getting, and then a bigger bonus when the child was adopted out.
And we had Jay White that called us after they adopted her out. Called us. We hated Jay White, so we never would.
We would
call him.
never call that man.
He called our house, found our number somehow, and called us. And what we perceived was a threat. He said, people were mad at us because we were speaking out. People were mad at us. And we said, who's mad at us, Jay White? And he said, what, it don't matter? Or
No, people. He just said people were mad and to stop talking, to stop. And he's very good with pronouns. Gets cases dismissed based off pronoun error. And
yes.
For him to use a pronoun calling our phone like that, well, we know what it was. We know what it meant. And we took him to court for that threat. But unfortunately, you got to be threatened twice. I don't know why by a man so powerful, but
That man scared the heck out of me calling me. I thought I thought he was calling to apologize or something, That's the only thing I could get, not to threaten us.
So
But
what was that? What was the pronoun?
when we took him to court, he throwed us out because we said they or him. We didn't say Jay White every time.
So you had to call him they or him.
We couldn't call him they or him.
yeah,
He wouldn't allow it. We had to have it
Oh,
perfect.
yeah, or he'll.
so you had to address him as Jay White at all times.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Your Honor, I don't know who he's talking about.
Objection. Objection. Objection.
Who is him?
Objection.
So we had to take him to court twice because I had to fill out another one that was perfect to get him in court.
Yeah, I've heard way too many stories about this fellow.
He's very powerful. He's him and his brother married. They taken a lot of money from these citizens here in Concord, and I I put my story out everywhere I can, Marianne, and I put it out in a local thing around here. It's called Next Door Neighbor, and I got over 6,000 views of my story, and also got the Taken on there, which I've had over 2,000 views already. The Taking of a Child live, and I don't know how many people got tapes where they're taking a child out of your house alive, but it's an ordeal. It's tragic to see a child is sitting there rubbing her eyes and being let out of a house that she loves.
Well, it's like living in Nazi Germany all over again. This is
It
what
felt like it.
right. So take
Never have looked at my country the same, and I'm a
right.
veteran. And when they stand up for that flag at the board meetings I'm at, they say, "And justice for all." And
No.
that part, I'm not feeling it. And now I'm torn at my flag. I'm torn. I'm just, and I am a veteran, that honorable veteran that got out honorable service. I did my honorable service, and I've been humiliated and tore down by our government here, our county government, saying a child was abused in my house so bad that she had to be taken, and we couldn't have her. And I had to go out, and this was a mixed child. She's black, and go out in my neighborhood, and everybody knew my child. And now that I don't have her, and the police done come to my house, and they think I did something terrible. And
Well, you didn't get no due process.
no, I got no due process at that. Never got to go to court. Never got to say anything. They took her out of my house, and I didn't get to defend nothing.
And then he quickly adopted her out.
Oh, quickly.
So that way he could seal everything and
He
it couldn't be
sealed the
figured
case.
out.
That's what they talk about there. It's a sealed case. I went and tried to get the case filed. They're not going to give it to me, and I might can get a lawyer to get it. I'm a poor person, I just don't have these lawyers tell you things and get your money. I spent money on lawyers that took my money and didn't help me
You're not going to get a lawyer for any case with Jay White
around here.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I spent some money trying to get lawyers. They dejected me so bad. And then nobody would talk to me about the case. They put up fences. And then my daughter died amongst it, and time went by, But I'm still feeling this. Once you see something, Marianne, you saw it.
Right.
Once you seen wrong, do you stop talking about it, or do you ever stop talking about it? Something so vague. They took a child out of my house and hurt my mental daughter where she's dead, abused her. Somebody that I was proactive with, and took her to hospitals and medicine, and I, she didn't even finish high school. She couldn't. She was so mental. But while she went to school, I had to go to school and defend her for her actions and her mental things that she did.
She went to special schools.
She went to special schools, and yes, it's when she became of age, I had to fight to get that child, but I wanted to make her life as normal as possible. And she had a little girl. They never could find a husband because she was mental and couldn't tell them nothing. And so they never found a father. So when that child was born, I gave my blessings, I said, this might help her, God's work, And she had the child, she had to have it cesarean. And because she was mental. We had the child, and the child was the best medicine for her. She was the peanut butter, and she called herself the Reese's. They were the Reese's cup, and they were a pair. They did everything together. Halloween. She was good with Jada because she was a child. And we were good with it because we knew how to, we was family. We know how to deal with it.
So
We dealt with
DSS,
it fine the whole time. We dealt with it till I went to try to make a little better life for my daughter.
and DSS came in and destroyed all of you with
Yes,
no
ma'am.
due process. And
Yes.
so tell me about this court watching. You know,
Okay.
years later, you're re-traumatized during court watching.
Oh yeah, this James and Yolanda, good friends of ours that are fighting the same thing. We have now grown down here to about 8 couples I've heard going to the board this next time. About 8 different people we heard. Another veteran that got her child taken. Anyway, we went for James and Yolanda just to watch because they had the same Jay White, and so they didn't have Christy Wilhelm, but they had Knust,
Oh,
and we heard he was just as bad. Yes,
yeah.
so we went to court watch, and as soon as we got in there, we saw Jay White talking to people. He didn't like us in there, but we stayed there, and it went to recess, and James and Yolanda hadn't come up yet. And before they went to recess, they said they was closing the courtroom,
Mm-hmm.
and they was going on recess and closing the courtroom because the next case was going to be private. And I'm I when he shut it down, I asked a question. I said, "Does that mean the court watchers can't come in here?" And he acted like he got a little agitated at me. And then I looked over there and I saw Jessica Bridges of all people, and she was looking at me, and she looked like she smiled or something. It just made me angry. And I said, "You're a liar." And now people were leaving the courtroom and going out, and she was still sitting there with one of the girls, uh, the social workers, the black social workers that is still there, also sitting beside her, and they were still sitting in the courtroom with their laptops. And I yelled out, "You're a liar."
Uh-huh.
And next thing I know, uh, I seen Jay White talking, and they said, "Get him." And they rushed out and grabbed me and brought me up there in handcuffs, and went
Oh,
before the judge. And he said, "You got anything to say for yourself?" And I said, "Yes, sir. I was just emotional. I seen somebody that wasn't supposed to be here, and I got emotional. I'm sorry."
uh-huh.
And 4 days.
Wait,
And that
what
was
do you mean?
He was,
Knust.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was Knust.
Okay.
That was Knust. And so
Oh,
they marched me out on Friday, and I just say the Cabarrus DSS and the Cabarrus jail is no better. They fed me some kind of meat, foreign meat, turkey, they said, but I've never seen no turkey like you have turkey on Turkey Day, Thanksgiving Day. I never seen no turkey like that. I seen dried, looked like neck bone. I don't know. And I didn't eat for
yeah.
4 days that I was there.
Oh my God.
And on the
We call it back meat.
and on the third night, when I was getting out the fourth day, they froze me all night, didn't turn off the lights, and froze me. Froze a 70-year-old man,
Oh,
froze me all night long.
so this
I
is
didn't think
how
I was gonna get
th-
out.
so this is how Judge Knust treats a veteran who's 70 years old. Even
Yes,
though
ma'am.
you apologized and said you got emotional, he didn't even have any compassion and say, "Okay, I get it. You got emotional. Just leave." That's
That
what he
is
could have
exactly
done.
yes, ma'am.
So he didn't do the right thing.
And
And
I was told by all the people in the jail that he was wrong. I mean, all the people in the courtroom that was there court watching with me, and the friends of James and Yolanda, they all said it was wrong. They was appalled by it.
Mhm.
Nobody could be there with me when he sentenced me. And they said, well, he'll probably come and get you, and see if you learned your lesson. No, he left me the whole time. And that last day, I think there was big punishment because they kept that jail is underground,
Ugh.
and they kept that air condition blowing, and I was the only one in that cell. So they punished me. I felt like for a reason.
Well, anything that goes on in these prisons, even across America, is a civil human rights violations. Because I know what you mean about the food, because when I was in there, they gave me like it was a hot dog sitting on top of watery oatmeal. And it's like, is this supposed to be a meal? Because it stinks. I wouldn't feed it to a dog. Um, in fact, I gave my meal to some poor woman who had been a meth addict. Um, I totally understand the prison situation, but these judges are out of control.
Out of control.
So when you were in prison, that was last month, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that the beginning of May? I'm trying to remember.
When was that, Jeter? March or early April?
March
Oh, it was
20.
March. Okay.
It could have been March, the end of March.
I'm so
I
sorry.
have it over here, but is it over there?
I can dig up an email. I can find the date. But you know, these people, God is watching. And what these people don't understand is they're going after God's people. And when evil goes after God's people, God will deal with them. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And,
Amen.
and I'm sure you've heard my judge story from Amy
Oh yeah.
Palacios. So,
Good friend.
so God, believe me, will deal with these people. It's a matter of time, but it will happen.
Marianne, we started out by ourselves, and we started out about little over 2 years going to the board. And the reason we went to the board is I went up to Mike Downs, the general
County manager.
that was so concerned about my case and did them investigations. And I went up and sat in his office, me and my son, and we had questions to answer, and he couldn't answer them. And he got upset. And so we left out, and he says, I'm locking my doors. And I says, that's fine. He makes $280,000 a year, and he locked his doors on us. And I said, I'll tell it anyway. I'll tell this story anyway. I said, I'll tell it on the mountain or, in the valley. And that's what I told him. And my son looked at me. He said, what do you mean, Dad? And I said, I don't know. I said, the Lord told me to say that. And so I got home and I told my son, I said, we're going to the board. And he said, why? And I said, to tell our story. Lo and behold, Marianne, when we went up there, they looked at us and they didn't give us a good welcome. We wasn't like them. We wasn't in our suits, and we were different. And they act like we wasn't supposed to be there. We filled our yellow tickets to speak, and we got up to speak. And lo and behold, who is there? Mike Downs, sitting up there on the board, heaven to listen to our 3 minutes. Now they give us 3 minutes. It's not much you can say.
Uh,
But then my son comes up with 3 more minutes. So that's 6 minutes. And then I said, son, 6 minutes times 2 years. We've talked pretty much up there, I said, God's good. God's good. So we sat up there and we talked, and actually we told the story and we showed the evidence that they hid. Now they just got through paying out a big $25 million to Ronnie Long here in Cabarrus County because they hid evidence in his trial and intentionally tried to kill him by hiding that evidence, in jail.
Could have sent him to death row.
Could have sent him to death row. And all he was sentenced for was raping a lady that he did not rape. The evidence proved him wrong, and they hid it. He was 21 at the time.
Oh,
Well, they hid my evidence the same way they hid his evidence, and they should know better because the fact is, it cost him a lot of money here. 25, the biggest settlement ever in North Carolina, I believe.
wow.
But anyway, went up there and talked my 3 minutes. And next month, I had Mr. Shue coming out there shaking my hand, asking me what this is about. And I've told him, and I said, what am I to do? And, he's saying, well, I had the same thing happen to my grandson and all that. And he says, I don't know what you should do. I said, keep coming up here. And he said, I guess so. Now he's the co-chairman up there at the board. And I said, okay. I said, that's what I intend to do anyway. And so I keep coming. He told me, I guess so. That's what I do. I kept coming. About 3 months ago, they had a work meeting trying to gag me. They talked the first 30 minutes of the work meeting of the Cabarrus board meeting, work meeting. The first 30 minutes was about me and Jeter, how they could shut us up. And they found no way during that meeting to be able to shut us down legally.
Yeah,
And
keep speaking
you
out.
asked for a gag, says, can we gag him? And the lawyer said, no, we can't gag him, And so I guess Shue come and shake my hand the other day, and I said, now you want to gag me. I said, you're two-faced. And he got a little upset. And I said, you're two-faced. I said, you tell me to keep coming up here that you had your grandson, and now you want to gag me? I said, you tired of hearing my story? Does it hurt too bad? I seen him up there crying, tears, when we tell our stories. True. Does it hurt you too bad you don't want to hear it?
Or is it crocodile tears? I can't hear you. There you go.
Okay. Try to make us look stupid. And we just stayed up there, stayed court. I know I'm not stupid. To be a top secret, you got to have a little smarts about you, I promise you. And one day we went up to the board meeting, and Yolanda and James was there, and they were sitting on the bench beside me, and they looked over and shot me a piece of paper and says, we with you. And that's I felt God. I said, God gave us some people, and James and Yolanda is so smart. I mean, she's got masters and he's got they're very smart people, and they had their child taken. And they didn't speak that day, but they come back and spoke. And James and Yolanda spoke. James got kicked out of the board meeting. They didn't want him speaking. He said some names. And the way I understand free speech, because I've gotten on to them many times, they put a policy into effect because of me and Jeter. After a year, they put a policy in to try to keep us from free speech, their policy in. And I told them, I said, you should call the policy the Erica policy, because it's because of Erica that you got this policy. And they wouldn't hear of it, but they made this policy, and they used it on James, and they escorted James out with the sheriffs for trying to tell the story.
And that was during a county council meeting too?
Yeah, board meeting.
Okay.
And our local TV station picked it up and showed it on TV. And now I go there and I sit there. We used to sit on a bench by ourselves. We have James and Yolanda sitting there, Amy, and we got a whole bunch of people on our aisle now. and we got more coming in, telling their story. And I just feel the Lord's got the smartest people. I mean, smart people that got me in touch with you. And we got a registered nurse. We got a lawyer almost who's a scientist, really. And we got a veteran coming up. We got Yolanda's a veteran lady also, and me a veteran. We got a veteran, a sergeant major's son that his child taken wrongly. And these are all speakers coming up now, speaking on the wrong, how DSS got into being police. I'm not sure.
Instead of child protection.
You know,
Yeah.
really and truly, they had a chance to help this family and shine a light on Cabarrus County, how they're helpful, not destroy a family. And the hurt of my family, my family, my sisters and aunts, and the people that love little Jada and love my daughter, we're all hurt. This was a moment in time that don't leave you. And
Defining moment.
it's a defining moment in your life.
Defining.
Huh? This is a moment in our life that we're just always remembering and stuck on. And if I could get answers, it'd make the veteran feel better. I've gone up there in front of them at the board. I said, I just need answers. I need to know why her mental was hidden, why they got her help and then stopped getting her help, why they partly acted on my request. I didn't report nobody, Marianne. I went up there to see what resources they could do. When you report somebody, you call on the phone or you
don't. I always tell people, don't even go looking with these
no.
people. Don't. But you know, I'd like to have you come back onto the podcast and
Yes, ma'am.
and keep track of your progress. How can people reach you if they have any questions, or do you want them to come through me?
No, they can reach me or come through you. Either way, I'm available.
Okay. What's your? Do you want to tell them your email?
Sure. Anderson, ANDERSON .Jerry, JERRY 91 after that at yahoo.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the podcast notes.
Thank you.
But don't jump off, okay?
No, ma'am.
This episode of Slam the Gavel is sponsored by CPS Protect Consulting Services. Child Protective Services cases are among the most frightening experiences any parent can endure. Don't face them alone. With urgent assist by CPS Protect, you get the peace of mind to raise your children as you see fit and the personalized assistance of their team of expert child welfare consultants, former CPS investigators themselves, right when you need it. Get started absolutely free at cpsprotect.com/register, and that is available in all 50 states. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth, and Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, iTunes, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, other platforms I don't know about. And please feel free to donate to buy me a coffee to keep this podcast going. Thank you, Mr. Anderson and Jeeter Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.